Welcome back to video 2 where we will be discussing observations that you'll be making on your own child. Alright, so in the last session we discussed children on the autism spectrum and all their challenges that they face. Children on the autism spectrum are a little more difficult to communicate with and to understand. The spectrum is far and expansive, and every child on the spectrum has their own unique experience. However, in general terms, they have issues with socialization, language, and their cognitive functions are different than neurotypical persons. So let's just get straight into an activity. We are going to have you do an assessment. These initial assessments will help us to know how to guide our children, since they are all unique. Also, so many ways we can show our children that we are there for them, that we are willing to see the world a little bit more like they do so that we can help them. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to list what you observe is a challenge that your child faces. Remember that the spectrum is broad and wide, and no two children on the spectrum are identical. So let's just see how we can help our particular child with their particular challenges. So let's start with some general ones. My child does or does not talk. My child does or does not play. My child is overall happy. That's a really deep one. You may want to think about that one. My child does not appear responsive when teaching. My child has how many meltdowns per day or per week? My child has outbursts how many times a day? My child makes friends. My child does not write well. My child does not like to go out in public. My child has social anxiety in some form. My child gets frustrated with him or herself. My child sometimes seems depressed. When your whole life seems to revolve around your child, the answer to the question, how can I be more considerate of my child, quite reasonably could be nothing. I'm doing everything I can. And maybe you are, but maybe you are doing the textbook recommendations or the in-the-box thinking. Let's try changing your perspective. Imagine how you would feel or what you would be like if you were in their position and they were taking care of you. Can you feel how scared and vulnerable you would feel if it were you in their situation? Can you now think of other things that you can do to be more considerate of your child? That's one tricky way to get some answers. Okay, another would be try connecting to your intuition. Ask open-ended questions or making statements and see what comes up in your mind, or feel if a statement feels true or false. If you do not do well at being intuitive, this exercise may be hard for you. But at the least, for your child's sake, keep trying to improve and increase your intuition. And while you're working on this skill, that everyone has, by the way, and we only need to develop it, you can take some of the following guidelines as suggestions, okay? And these suggestions, I believe, are in a concise list that can help you to achieve the peace and harmony that you want for your child while assisting them to achieve their life mission. In Scream-Free Parenting, author and therapist Hal Runkel emphasizes that parents are not raising children. We are raising adults. We need to help them as best as we can in being the best adult and contributing member of society that they can be. Keep in mind, your job is to focus on finding solutions to specific issues, not to take on the burden of curing autism. Here are some guidelines that you can include in your everyday life for happier children. Please do not get overwhelmed by a diagnosis, but instead treat the specific problems. Any diagnosis is simply just a definition that explains the commonality of the symptoms that are being experienced. Getting a diagnosis does not do anything at all for resolving the problems by itself. You have to deal with the problems that are affecting your child. All right. Change your approach of trying to get them to conform and try doing things their way and see if there's an improvement. This can be the difference between having a happy child or a miserable one. Instead, we teach following societal rules and norms as a life skill. This way, they learn to embrace their true selves by being allowed to be who they truly are, while also learning to be considerate to other persons by following social rules. Give them an outlet to express themselves. Art, running, music. In fact, everyone needs this to feel better, but can you imagine not having the words or the fluidity of vocabulary to express how you feel and not having a way to express your feelings? It would make you miserable. Give them a schedule, including enjoyable activities. I love calling this organized, structured fun. Truthfully, though, children on the spectrum like to know what is happening now, in the near future, and even later on in the day. Use these skills to help you resolve any issues your child may be dealing with, as well as keep these skills in mind as we go along in the program to create learning opportunities for our children.